Hello and welcome to Yoga with Glenn. I'm Glenn. Welcome to this Yoga Beginner's very easy flow. Even if you're not a beginner, this is just a great way to get moving around. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It really helps out a lot. I'd really appreciate it. Hop into some comfy clothes, hop on your mat or just space on the floor, and let's get started. To start our Yoga for Beginners session, meet me here in Sukhasana, or easy cross-legged seated position, or crisscross applesauce, however you come to know it. Cross at the ankle, nice tall spine. I'm sitting on a bolster. You can use a pillow, or you can just sit on the ground, but I like a bolster to just raise me up a little bit off the ground, because my hips are a little bit tight, so just makes things a little bit easier. Nice and tall on the spine, nice open heart space, not slouching over like this. Hands on the knees, level chin, eyes gazing forward. And we'll start by getting a little bit of control of our breath. So we'll start with an inhale. Inhale as you know it, and exhale through the mouth. Now try just inhaling from the stomach, pushing the belly button out as you inhale. And exhale, stomach goes back in. Inhale from the stomach. Exhale. Feel the stomach go back in. That's starting to get control of our breath. That's diaphragmatic breathing, using our diaphragm. Inhale, exhale through the mouth, belly button goes back in. So let's link that together with the ribs now. Inhale, fill the belly, continue to inhale, feel the ribs expand outward. And open mouth, exhale. Now that we got the belly and the ribs, let's move the third part as the chest. We'll feel the chest lift a little bit. We'll feel the heart space open a little bit more. So exhale, everything out. Inhale, feel the belly. Feel the ribs expand outward. Keep inhaling, feel the chest lift. And open mouth, exhale, chest, ribs, belly. One more time, inhale, belly, ribs, chest, feel it lift, hold at the top. Another sip of air in, and open mouth, exhale. Your breathing is very important during yoga and of course everyday life, but especially during yoga, if you find yourself in a difficult spot with any posture, focus on your breath. Your breath will carry you through, I promise. But it starts inhaling from the belly, not inhaling from the chest like a lot of people do. From the belly, exhale, belly button goes back in. Now that we got a slight control of our breath, let's come off of our bolster, out of this Sukhasana or easy cross-legged seated position. If you have props, just push them off to the side. Come onto all fours, what's known as table posture. Shoulders stacked over wrists, hips stacked over knees. Toes can be tucked, toes can be released with the shoelace side of the foot on the ground. Either way, start to tilt the pelvis so the tailbone goes up, belly goes down, lifting the chest, lifting the chin. And this is known as cow pose, and we do this with an inhale. And exhale, just the opposite. We tuck the pelvis, tucking the tailbone. We round our spine towards the sky, wrapping the shoulder blades around the rib cage. Chin will fall towards the chest. We do this with an exhale. This is cat pose. So all with one breath, it'll look like this. Inhale for cow. Tailbone, drop the belly. Open the chest, lift the chin, and then exhale. Tuck the tailbone, chin falls towards the chest, sending the spine up towards the sky. Start to bring that tailbone up with an inhale. Dropping the belly, lifting the chest, lifting the chin. It might feel weird because we're sticking our butt out, but that's okay. And exhale. Tuck the pelvis, tuck the tailbone, really push through the ground, through the earth, sending the spine up towards the sky. Dropping the chin towards the chest. One more time for cow. Exhale for cat. Let's do one more cow with an inhale. Make sure your toes are tucked. And then exhale. Press up into downward facing dog. So you're really lifting your tailbone up to the sky, making this A shape with your body, this triangle shape. Really pressing through the earth with the hands. Give some space between the ears and the shoulders. Really focus on having a flat back, not rounded. But really make sure the tailbone is the highest on the body right now. The legs ideally straight. If you need a slight bend in the legs, that's okay. Ideally straight. And from here we can play around and we can bend one knee, bend the other. This is pedaling out our feet, getting a nice stretch in the back of the legs, the calves, the hamstrings. This is downward facing dog. Now let's lift our right leg into the air. This is three-legged dog. Try to keep that right leg straight. And exhale, we're going to step that through between our hands. We're going to set ourselves up for a high lunge, keeping the back knee off the ground. And we're going to bring the shoulders over the hips. Arms are straight, up in the air. And this is a high lunge. And then we will turn and set ourselves up for warrior two. So our front foot stays where it was. I pivoted the back foot, so it's now facing outside of the mat. We're really feeling open right here in the hips, stacking our shoulders over the hips, spreading the arms, opening the heart space, keeping the space behind the heart open as well. And then we gaze over our front fingertips, both hands. There's some energy in the fingers here, really pulling yourself apart. Imagine that. And then windmill your arms down to the mat from this warrior two. Keep this left hand planted and we can take a twist over this knee with an inhale. And then exhale, hand back to the mat. Step back into this tall plank, this push-up position almost. And then exhale back into downward facing dog. Really pressing the hands through the earth, keeping the head between the shoulders. Make sure there's some space. Open yourself up. Tailbone up to the sky, making this triangle shape with the body. Ideally, your heels would be touching the ground. I have a little bit of issue with my left ankle. I'm not really able to get there. That's okay if you're not. If you're up on the toes, that's okay. If you'd like to bend the knees even, that's okay too. After an exhale here, inhale and lift the left leg for three-legged dog. And exhale, look to where you're going to step and step that through between the hands. Really set yourself up for this high lunge. Nice and strong in the back leg, straight knee, and then rise up for a high lunge, bringing the shoulders over the hips. Arms are straight, palms are facing each other. And then we'll, same thing, open up for warrior two. This back foot, we rotated it outward. Shoulders still stacked over the hips. Try to bring it up to center. Try to have your hips level and still open here in the legs. So our shoulders aren't back here, our shoulders aren't up here, but we're nice and straight, really stacked. And again, open in the heart space, open in the space behind the heart as well. Arms are straight, almost like you're pulling your arms apart, gazing over these front fingers. Inhale and exhale. Windmill the arms down, plant that right hand. We're going to take a twist over this bent knee with an inhale. And exhale down. Plant the hands, step back into high plank, this high push-up position. Bring your knees to the mat wide. Bring the big toes to touch. And then sink your hips back
into child's pose. Forehead may come to rest on the ground, or if you'd like to recruit maybe a blanket, bolster, a yoga block if you have it, or a book under the forehead just to make yourself more comfortable, you can. If your hips don't quite touch your heels, that's okay. You can either come wider in the knees, or you can just find a comfortable spot wherever you're at. Some modifications we can take with the arms. We can bring the hands to touch like prayer hands, bend at the elbow, and we can rest the thumbs on the back of the neck. We can just be out here, straight arm. We can have these little spider fingers here if you like a little bit more stretch in the shoulder. Anytime you're in the middle of a very intense yoga flow and you'd like to take a rest, this is one of the acceptable postures to rest in. And while you're here breathing through your belly pushes against the thighs, and you can kind of massage the lower back that way with your breath. It's also a good opportunity to release some heat by exhaling through the mouth. Like I said, if you're in the middle of an intense session, you just need a break, this is a great posture to come back to. Now after an exhale, inhale, come back up into that table posture, that all fours position. Press yourself back into downward facing dog one more time. Look to the front between your hands and slowly walk up between your hands. Maybe come up onto the fingertips. And exhale as you fold forward here. A nice bend in the knees. Try to rest your torso against your thighs. Let your head hang heavy. This is a standing forward fold. Inhale, we'll straighten the legs for a halfway lift, really extending the spine, making this kind of same triangle shape with the body almost, but we don't have our hands out in front of us, but we're still making this 90-degree angle, really extending through the spine, extending through the crown, that's the top of the head. And exhale, fold again into a forward fold. And then inhale, slowly rise up, stacking one vertebrae at a time in the back until you come up into a standing position. This is our mountain pose, also known as Tadasana. Feet are hip width apart. We're not leaning on the toes, we're not leaning on the heels, but we're finding nice evenness and balance in between the two. Imagine a 3-point of contact on your foot, sort of like a little triangle. Nice energy here in the thighs, in the glutes, lower abs. Our arms can be palms facing in, palms facing out, but there's energy here in the fingertips. Not scrunching in the back, but we have a nice open space in the back, also an open chest at the same time. Our gaze is forward, slightly up, chin level with the ground, and this is proper Tadasana mountain pose or standing pose of equanimity. Take a breath or two here. This is another very basic yoga pose. Even though it just looks like I'm standing here, definitely is a yoga pose. I'll bring the hands together and circle them up with an inhale. Touch them at the top, and then we'll swan dive forward, then bring the arms out, palms facing down, into a forward fold. That's a swan dive. Inhale, halfway lift again. Bring the hands against the shins, maybe against the thighs just above the knee. Ideally, you'd want to get a nice 90-degree angle here, extending through the spine, extending through the top of the head. And exhale, fold. Plant the hands on the mat. Come down into a table posture and sweep the legs around, coming on to your bottom.
Scoot yourself forward on the mat a little bit, soles of the feet flat on the mat, extend the arms out, and then slowly sink down, one vertebrae at a time, until you come onto your back. Knees are still bent. Bring your heels a little bit closer to your butt, to your glutes, maybe so close as to where you can touch your fingertip to the back of your heel with your palms flat on the ground. And with an inhale, we will press our hips up into the air, keeping the shoulders and the head on the ground. A lot of energy in the glutes here, getting those hips as high as possible. And exhale, slowly drop them back down to the earth. Inhale, press up once more for a bridge, as high as you can, and then exhale, slowly roll the back down. Again, try to push the lower back into the earth. Try to have some energy here in the lower abs, squeezing the glutes and pressing the hips up. With an inhale, try to keep the knees pointed straight forward. If they're tracking out a little bit, try to control that. Try to really press through the earth with the feet. And then like a leaf in the wind, with an exhale, sway your hips back down to the earth. Bring the knees to touch. Float the feet off the ground so you have this 90-degree angle in your legs here. Toes pointed up. Arms can come out to a T. Inhale. And exhale. Both knees together. Drop over to the left side for this supine knee together twist. This is a good posture for cooling down in a yoga flow. Get a nice stretch across the body here, all the way from the glute, all the way up top. Your chin can float over or rest over to the right side. Or if you like a side body stretch even more, you can look straight up at the ceiling, extend the right arm overhead. Feel that nice length in the side body here. Definitely some modifications you can take if you so choose. And with an inhale, float the knees back up to center, and then exhale, drop them over to the other side. Hopefully you don't have props in your way. Same thing with the modifications. Try to keep the knees together, the thighs together. You can extend this arm overhead with the chin pointed up, or with this arm out to a T, you can let the chin rest over towards this shoulder, or you can just stay in the middle. You can take your opposite hand and place it against the thigh if it doesn't quite reach, or you want to get a little bit more of a stretch. Don't crank down on it, just a little bit of pressure from the weight of your arm will do. But we're feeling a nice stretch all the way from the glute, all the way up the side body. Breathing deeply here, breathing into the belly, breathing out. Another inhale, and exhale. Extend both arms out to a T and inhale, float them back up to the center. Drop the feet back down on the mats. Extend your legs out, palms facing up, a little bit of space between the arm and the side body. Let the feet splay out as they wish. And this is my favorite pose. This is corpse pose, Shavasana. If you're a little bit familiar with yoga, you might have heard about this one. It's not just an excuse to take a nap, but here in Shavasana, we're mindful. This is a great opportunity for a short meditation. It's a great opportunity to really focus and play around with your breath. This is also an opportunity to sort of dive in and get to know yourself. Because yoga is more than a workout, it's a work in. So while we're here in Shavasana, we're just letting everything relax. We're really surrendering our weight to the earth. Relax the toes. Feel the air pass between them. Feel the heels, the weight heavy onto the earth. Feel the back of the lower leg. Maybe the air passing between the knees or underneath the knees. Letting our thighs rest heavy on the earth. Letting our butt rest heavy. Our back, our shoulders. Surrender the weight of the back of your arm, your forearm, the back of your hand. Feel the air pass between the fingertips. Let the head rest heavy on the earth. Let the eyes roll back into their orbits. Let the tongue sink back into the lower palate, and imagine your brain sliding to the back of your skull. Letting our entire body be heavy, surrendering all of our weight to the earth. Wherever you are, lost in thought, release that thought and return to your breath. Feel the stomach rise and sink with your inhales and exhales. Bring awareness back to your body, starting with the fingers, the toes. Maybe bring some small movements, fingers, toes, wrists, ankles. Small movements at first, but as they start to grow, you can maybe point your toes down, extend the arms above your head. Feel a nice full body stretch. And then exhale, return to center. Bend one knee so the sole of the foot is on the mat. And when you're ready, press off that foot and come on to your side body. Resting your head on your arm, bending at the hips, at the knees, coming into this sort of fetal posture. Giving your body a second to recover. That was quite a short Shavasana, but if you're ever in a yoga class that has a long Shavasana, you really want to prepare yourself to come out of it, to come up into a seated position. So when you're ready, no rush. Press yourself up. Back into that crisscross applesauce, that cross-legged seated position, or Sukhasana in Sanskrit. Walk the hips back a couple steps, sitting on the sit bones. Nice tall spine, open hearts, level chin. Hopefully you learned a little something from this yoga for beginners. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's take one more breath together. Circle our arms up with an inhale. Touch the palms overhead. Bring the hands down to heart center. The light in me sees the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. If you've enjoyed that Yoga for Beginners flow and you'd like a more personalized experience, I now offer virtual, one-on-one, tailored to you sessions. Please reach out on Instagram at Yoga with Glenn. I look forward to hearing from you.